So, hi guys, I'm Dr. Williams, and today I'm just going to talk about an article that I get to read. So, what I do is I read articles and I try to translate them to be quite simple and how it works and what my opinions are. So, today I'm reading from the BMJ and it's on adolescent well-being. So, I work with a lot of young people, school health. Basically, I do a lot of work in environmental, public health, and so on. So, this is what can academic researchers contribute to advancing adolescent well-being. So this is kind of talking to people like us who are in the academic world, and so academics need to listen to adolescents and communities to turn ideas into action. So a lot of academics, we do research and it is amazing, but sometimes it just ends in this academic community and we need to do better. So you need to turn your ideas into action. Yes, we've done the research, and so what is the next thing to do? So I was talking to someone recently. I love to pick the recommendations from research articles that have said we've done this research. We think this is the recommendation. I try it out and I'm like, maybe, or oh yes, this really works. So academics need to start turning their ideas, their recommendations into action, and you need to pay attention to your target community, whether it's young people, whether it's women, whether even children. You need to pay attention and you need to listen to them. So one of the things this article has highlighted is silo thinking and services don't suit the complex, diverse lives of young people. To be honest, if you work in silos and you do a research for young people, like you've planned everything and you come and give it to them, it will flop because they would not respond the way you were thinking they would respond. So you have to plan with them. So you have to co-design, co-create, however you call it, with them. Another thing again is we need to start thinking about the well-being of adolescents and stop seeing the problems that affects adolescents. So you need to look beyond just the problem of HIV, the problem of mental health. You need to start looking at the communities and the adolescents themselves. So you need to talk about connectedness, competence, resilience, autonomy, positive youth development, readiness to learn, agency, and these are the key concepts that can help us to holistically build a vision for adolescents. So whatever you're doing, you need to think about the wider social determinants when you're doing research. You need to pay attention, capture the complexity of well-being. Don't just assume that this is how it works for all the adolescents worldwide. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. Even in the same country, it doesn't also. It does. There's no like generalized for majority. You don't generalize everything. You have to see what works in different places. And another thing is that is really interesting. It says adolescents are forced to six separate services. So there's services for mental health, there's services for career, there's services for primary health care, there's services for social services, there's services for growth, there's spiritual services, there's everything. Whereas everything needs to come together, everything needs to be aligned. And because of the kind of work I do, when I'm talking to young people or even coaching or mentoring, I try to make sure that there are pillars. These pillars are there, and you get to rotate around them because it helps you understand the complexity of stuff. I can't talk to a Nigerian adolescent and only work in silos in terms of career. There's also going to be the issue of family. There's also going to be the issue of spiritual matters. So everything is very connected. And again, it says, what can we do? So we tend to think that what we do is just research and then we go away. We need to start thinking about what do you call it? You need to start thinking about social change and promoting well-being using the human rights frameworks. It can be quite challenging for the research community. That's what the article is saying. But you need to think of cultural belief systems. You need to embed all of this in what you're doing. And the article makes you think that you have to know how to play the roles and the games. So you want to change policy, you need to be at the seat where they make the policies. You want to learn about the community, to be right there in the community to understand the dynamics of the community. So ideas can powerfully build support for change, but they are insufficient on their own. So academics need to look beyond just research and see the human rights, the moral implication of their work. So questions about why and how we should value are not innate to the academic sphere. So you need to look beyond just academia and look about social change. How do I play a role in creating change? So how do I go from just research to action? So I guess that's where implementation is coming. So we need more and more of that. So the science behind adolescent health will have little impact if good ideas are not spread effectively to policymakers, program developers, and those who work directly with young people. So there are sometimes when I read some research work and I'm like, wow, so you think this would work in my place? I'm not shading you, but I'm just like, you did not think about us when you were doing this. So that's why you have to effectively and efficiently work together, community, schools, and all. I can give a lot of example because I've done my PhD where I've engaged different levels. The only level I didn't really engage with to the very extent because of how politics is, and maybe I don't have the skill, is the policy part. But every other part, I was able to, like, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to do it. So the take home is that academics researchers, they just don't need to be, they need to involve adolescents being studied, put them as part of your team. The academics may have the skill and understanding needed to build help build the vision for adolescent well-being, and they also bridge the gap between advocating for change. So you need to take a step beyond publishing research as your final step and seeing how you can turn your research, what you've disseminated, into action. So basically, I just love it. We shouldn't forget that communities and adolescents understand the issues facing them better than outsiders. We as academics must continue to ask ourselves how best we can support communities in the fight to improve well-being. So you need to know what's happening there. You don't just wake up with an idea. You need to go out, ask questions. So it's just an encouragement for those who work in academia and especially adolescent health, like ideas to action. That's it. So if you enjoy this, please let me know. If you've got question, if you want to argue, it's not my paper, but it's just quite an interesting paper and I loved it. Thank you.